Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Big Donch Show. Today, we have a huge episode today as I interview Jack McGann, who is a jack of all trades in the combat sports world. Jack is a former MMA fighter and now a current professional boxer. He's currently undefeated with 9 wins, and he won the IBO European Super-Welterweight title earlier this year. I want to thank you, Jack, for joining me today, especially since you communicated with me very well. I appreciate you getting back to me, especially I'm a small YouTuber, so I really appreciate you doing this today.
No, it's okay. I enjoy doing it, and I always look to help anywhere I can.
Good, good. So the first one is just like tell me where you're at in life right now. You know, what situation you're in. 2024 begins tomorrow. You just had a fight back in October. What's life like right now?
Life's amazing right now. I think that 2023 was one of the best years of my life. Not just for me career, but just in me as a person. Everything went well. I hit all my green lights, and everything just kept falling into place. And the way it's finished at the end of the year, it's setting up for 2024 to be the same. So I think 2023 was a pretty much perfect year for me. And I'm truly sitting here really grateful for the way it went, and I'm looking forward to next year. So I've had my little break, Christmas time, spent it with the family and everything else, but I'm really ready to switch on and smash next year.
That's great to hear. So, you know, your last fight was back in October in Saudi Arabia on the Fear versus Ngannou card. You know, just tell me what that experience was like, especially being surrounded by all those boxing legends and things like that. I'm sure it was an amazing experience you'll never forget.
Honestly, it was one of the best weeks of my life. Not just in my career, just once again, just in me as a person. It was amazing for me and the team. Obviously, the win and the way we treated over there was the icing on the cake. I think I probably would have looked at it a lot different if it didn't go my way. Like I said to the lads after we won, I said that would have been a long flight home if we didn't get the win. But as far as the experience in Saudi, it was just honestly, it was like something out of a dream. Like pick any day and you can pick 5 or 6 moments that were just crazy if we would have told it was happening. And then even the walkout, we had Chuck Liddell walk me out to fight Roberto Duran's son. And Chuck Liddell's one of my true childhood heroes. You know what I mean? It was amazing. It was actually one of the harder things was actually taking all of it in and stepping back and making sure that I enjoyed it, because in the past, like I fought for a promotion in Russia a couple of times in my early 20s, and that was a big production. It was not like Saudi, but one of my critiques to myself was I never really soaked it up. And you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, I didn't really take that in. So I made sure this time I soaked it up as much as possible while keeping me head on the job. But it was amazing.
That was awesome. So, like, what exactly, did you learn that? So you said you experienced it. So, like, how about what did you learn just being on a big stage like that? How did that prepare you now for things like that? Because what Saudi Arabia is doing for boxing is a great experience. It's great for the sport of boxing. It's bringing in more bigger events. So what have you learned just being on a big stage like that?
As you mean me for like as a fighter, as an
Yeah, as
athlete?
a fighter, you're
Yeah.
surrounded by guys like that. You have, you know what I'm saying. You're held to a higher standard. So, what did you learn? Something like that.
Do you know what? I'd seen it before, because as I said, with that Russian promotion, that was massive, and it was like fight week. Probably the biggest thing that would have shocked me was getting on the plane fight week and you're staying in hotels. You're not at home. You're not in close to home. You're away. That's probably the biggest thing. But all that um media obligations fight week. I've done that before, but as I said, this was just magnified a little bit. But I think probably the only thing I wasn't used to was this was the biggest fight in my life because of what was on the line and um for what was at stake. And I think my next one will be the same. And I got used to you sort of get them butterflies kick in a couple of days earlier than they usually do, and it's about keeping control of yourself with that. But it was just yeah, it was just it's the fight game, isn't it? It's like the saying is shit happens and just whatever comes, you just roll with it. So anytime you can do it a little bit different, it puts you in good stead for the future. Um, but yeah, I think I grew a lot as an
Good.
athlete over
Yeah,
there.
good. That's what I was trying to figure out. Like, I'm sure, you're very lucky to have that. You worked very hard to get in that situation at that early in your boxing career. You know what I mean? So that definitely is a big thing for your career. That's definitely going to give you a
Yeah,
boost having that experience so early.
yeah.
So just tell me now a little bit about your career overall. How did you get involved in combat sports? Tell me a little bit about your MMA career and why you transitioned to boxing.
So my dad had it wasn't through choice. It was very much forced on me, but I'm grateful for that now. My dad just wanted me to be able to look after myself, and I was probably he got into it. So when 30 years ago when the UFC started, not long after that MMA was really, it was like taboo. It wasn't like now where um you drive 10 miles down the road and you see a million gyms. It was like there were very few and far between it. My dad opened up the gym, the Wolf Slayer, which is one of the biggest gyms um in the world at the time. And the first people to outdoor were some of the main big superstars, and we were used to having big pay-per-view fights and fighting for titles and everything else. So it was like from the word go, I was surrounded by massive camps with massive fighters, and um I was used to like what was around me was like the cream of the crop. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I think as far as me getting into it, it was just I started off with Thai boxing and then my first fight when I was 12, and then went into MMA. I'd my first MMA fight when I was 13, and then turned pro when I was finished school and turned professional when I was 19, and then um had my last MMA fight. I had to break from that, went into boxing at 25. I've smashed it now so far. I've had a really good one. COVID sort of got in the way of it a little bit. I didn't fight for 2 years. I was working, um, but yeah. To answer your question, the short of the kind of it was my dad who got me into it, and at the time, I was really kicking and screaming as he was putting me through. But now I thank him every day.
So looking back to your MMA career, how did that lifestyle defer to boxing? Specifically like the training, the cardio, and just like fight nights. How did that different? How is boxing and MMA similar or different?
If you were to ask me before, because when I was fighting, preparing for my MMA fights, I used to box boxers. That's how I knew I could make the jump. And if you would have asked me then, I would have been like, "Oh, it's just a little bit different, and it's the little things, and overall they're pretty similar. They're not. They're literally worlds apart. Like you just can't compare them, and that comes down to everything, to the to the training, to the fighting, to the plans moving forward, the different routes you can go. It's honestly, it's just so different. I'd say, but what I would say, um, is MMA. They're both tougher for different reasons. Boxing's definitely tougher on your body, but as in the fighting and training, because all that's happening is you're getting punched in the face,
Yeah.
in the head, in the body. That's all that's happening. MMA training's harder because there's so much impact on the body. You've got to train a lot more to cover the disciplines. But in an actual MMA fight, in an MMA spar, you can if you've got two lads who are grappling heavy, you there might not be a mark on the pair of them at the end of the fight because they've been wrestling, because they've been playing jits. So do you get what I mean? The difference for that sense, and that's why you don't really see MMA guys who are punch drunk at the end of their careers, but you see plenty of boxers because of that reason. And actually, one of the biggest things what people don't realize is people go, like how I tell people I used to do MMA, they're like, "Oh, how did you do that? It's so violent." And I'm like, "No, it looks worse because you might get somebody who's knocked out, and they might take like one or two after they've been KO'd. That looks dead bad. But what people don't realize is that's just saved that guy getting up, getting 8 seconds to get his head together, getting up, and then taking a load more damage. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
honestly, they're just so different. And then
Yeah.
when people ask me what I prefer, it's like I'm doing really well at boxing. So do I love boxing or do I love the success that it's given me? But I think that MMA is always my baby, and I hope that one day I can get back to fighting MMA.
Good. Yeah. So I'm an amateur boxer, and I would never got involved with it, like wrestling. No, I just that's not my type of thing. But another thing I respect a lot of MMA is like not just the head injuries, also but like leg injuries, elbow injuries, shoulder injuries. That's more common in MMA. That always
Yeah,
grosses me out. So I always respect MMA fighters a lot when it comes to that. But definitely though when it comes to the head, obviously boxing, which head is obviously the most important compared to a shoulder injury and something like that. But I definitely respect a lot of MMA fighters also for head problems, but also you have to worry a lot more about shoulder problems now, knee injuries and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and it's like you don't ever hear about a boxer blowing his ACL or his MCL or his
Right.
knee or anything, and when that's 6 months out in MMA, that's common. That's like one of the most common injuries. So the impact on the body is just different. That I think that was one thing when I stopped when I had my break from training MMA and I was just switched on to boxing. I was like, me neck's fine, me back's not killing no more, me knees aren't stressed. It was different. But then I started getting punched in the face every two
Yeah.
seconds, and I was like, oh well, there you go, it's give and take.
Right. So yeah, I absolutely agree. That's exactly what I was thinking, like how that's just the lifestyle, but you enjoy it at the same time. So I also saw that and you train with Tom Hardy. I have to ask you this question. He's a popular actor worldwide. I watched many movies and shows with him. So what was that experience, training with him like? And he also seems like he's pretty solid at fighting. So what's your experience knowing Tom Hardy and all?
He's all it is. He's a great guy, and I forget we've got a mutual friend, and it started off like he was sending good luck videos and messages and whatever, and then he was filming something, and as he was on his way home, he was by us, so we popped in, and then from that day we've been it's a genuine relationship, and we're really good friends. But the training when Tom um needs to get into shape for the film, his method of choices, he basically does like a fight camp. He'll do boxing and jiu-jitsu and whatever else. So we went down and trained with him a little bit, and there's clips online. If you look at like little clips of me and him sparring, he can look after himself. But he's really I wouldn't say he should look for a career change, but he can really. He's handy. Do you know what I mean? But he's one of the most sweetest, loveliest guys that you'll meet, and he truly loves it. And I think now, especially if he's getting into his jiu-jitsu competitions in the gi, and he's competing, and it must be funny because he goes to these like open mats where it's like just some random guy will be there, and then it's like you get matched with Tom Hardy, but he probably gets a couple of seconds at the start of each round because they're a little bit starstruck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. That's a cool experience. And it's cool he's doing that. He just seems like that. He just seems like a type of guy who would be into that, especially with the type of the roles he played in movies before. But the last question I have for you now is just, what do you hope to gain from your fighting career when it's all said and done? What do you just hope to accomplish on just fighting in general, whether that's boxing, MMA, or both?
Do you know what? When I get asked this kind of question, it's like you can go with the easy way of saying I want to win a world title or I want to
Yeah.
make loads of money or whatever. But I honestly, when I sit there, I just want to see how far I can go. I want to see how far I can go myself. And with that, I should get everything that comes with that. But I just keep seeing how far I can push this boat out.
Good, good. So, well, I just want to say thank you once again for doing this today. I wish you the best of luck with whatever's next, and I just hope you have a great new year. Yeah, I really appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, you too, mate. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
I'm out, guys. Peace.